Hi everyone, and welcome to another one of our weekly MStranslate Q&A videos where I'll be answering a question that's been submitted by a member of our community. And so in today's video, I'm going to be answering a question that was submitted by Lucy on Facebook. The question is essentially, why hasn't there been a cure found for multiple sclerosis yet? So in this video, this is mostly going to be me sharing my opinions on some of the things that I think are the key factors behind this. Now, obviously, there are lots and lots of reasons that have probably contributed to this. And so if you have any thoughts, as always, please feel free to share them in the comment section below the video. And I'm happy to have a chat about this. I think it's a really interesting question and one that we could talk about for hours, but I'll try and keep this a little bit brief. So there's probably 4 points that I think contribute and that I want to talk about. The first point is that we don't know what the cause of multiple sclerosis is yet. And so that's a really simple answer. I think that until we know what the actual cause of MS is, we're not going to be able to find a cure. So following on from that, and going to point 2 and talking about that cause, I think that the cause of MS is really complicated. We know that it's not simple like other diseases potentially where there is one thing that can lead to the disease. So for an example, you can get a virus and that virus leads to the disease. Epstein-Barr virus causes glandular fever. Or we can have certain genetic diseases where we know that if there is a mutation, that will lead to that disease. Multiple sclerosis we know is more complicated than that. In fact, we know that there are genetic factors that contribute to multiple sclerosis, and there's been a lot of research to show that certain genetic susceptibility markers can increase your risk of developing multiple sclerosis, but we know that having one or even having just more of these isn't enough for someone to develop multiple sclerosis. Similarly, we know that there are environmental factors that can do the same thing, and more it seems like Epstein-Barr virus might be something that's necessary to develop multiple sclerosis, but isn't sufficient to develop multiple sclerosis. And we've done videos on that research before. And so it's this complex interplay of genetic factors and environmental factors that seem to be coming together in individuals to create this perfect storm that leads to the development of multiple sclerosis. But from a research perspective and identifying what those are when there's so many different things coming together, it can be really difficult. Tying into that, and point 3, I think, is timing. And so I think that there's a couple of different points to this. One, in terms of that perfect storm that we were just talking about, I think that it's not just that we have this interplay of genetic factors and environmental factors. It probably also depends when these things happen. And so there's certain windows that we need to be able to see what's going on at those times to see whether or not they are contributing to the development of multiple sclerosis. And as an example of that, we've seen recent research come out of the Karolinska Institute from Stockholm in Sweden that's shown the timing of infections during adolescence seems to be particularly important for increasing the risk of multiple sclerosis. As well as that, in terms of timing from a research perspective, part of the problem is that we're always looking at individuals with multiple sclerosis after they've developed the disease. And so there's always this question of what we're looking at here, is this something that is contributing to the development of multiple sclerosis and contributing to multiple sclerosis getting worse? Or is this just a side effect of the fact that this person is living with multiple sclerosis and what we're observing is just part of that disease process and a side effect of that? And so, if we could actually take people and look at them 5 or 10 years before multiple sclerosis started and monitor them across that time and see the changes that were occurring, that would be really helpful in terms of us being able to identify the cause of multiple sclerosis. But that is obviously not really feasible and incredibly difficult. But this all contributes to the difficulty of trying to identify that cause, and without identifying that cause, being able to come up with a cure for multiple sclerosis. And the last point, and I think a point that we shouldn't overlook, is the amount of resources and funding that goes into multiple sclerosis research. Now, there is a lot of funding that goes into this, but as always, I would say that it's probably not enough. We are losing researchers. That's just a really blunt way of putting that the difficulties that researchers face in terms of job security, in terms of being able to get funding to continue their work, is a real trouble area. Now, what we've seen over the past 18 months, and possibly the silver lining of the coronavirus pandemic, is that when we put the appropriate amount of resources and funding into research and into science, we can see that cures and treatments can be developed exceptionally quickly. And so I think as we continue to try and search for a cure for multiple sclerosis, we try and continue to search for the cause of multiple sclerosis. Part of what we need to do is continue to support multiple sclerosis research, promote great research that's being done, and lobby for more funding, more support, and more encouragement of researchers to get in this area. Now, as I said, these are all my opinions, so I really want to have a discussion around this. So please feel free to leave your thoughts in the comment sections around what you think some of the reasons are behind why we don't yet have a cure for multiple sclerosis. Thanks again for the question, and I look forward to bringing you another one of these next week. Remember, stay tuned to MStranslate over the coming days as we have some breaking news that we will be revealing and announcing in the next couple of days. Thanks, everyone.